Hi, this is Keith Young. In this walkthrough, I wanted to go over a little bit more about shape layers and the layer effects, and actually how editable they are. So on screen, you can see here that we have three different things going on. I have a solid. They're all these layers are color layers or shape layers. But what I've done is I've created different layer effects for each shape layer, so that each shape layer has a different look and feel to it. So uh, I just wanted to address a little bit more about the editability of these different shape layers. Okay, so this main one here, this star which is on front, contains a gradient that has some transparency in it. I achieved that effect in the layers panel using the layer effects. I'm just going to go ahead and open that up right now. What I did first of all was I turned the fill opacity down in the blending options. So you turn the fill opacity all the way down so that you actually can't see the fill. And if I were to turn off this gradient overlay, you would be able to see all the way through, completely through this shape layer. So the only thing that you can see is the gradient overlay when I turn it on. Now if I want, I can change this gradient overlay to a color overlay, and you notice that I can't see through it any longer. The original color is hidden. The original color, which is on this color swatch here, it's a dark blue, is hidden because I have the fill opacity turned down. Even if I turn this back up, the color that I specify for the color overlay is going to overpower the blue, the main color that what the shape layer was originally. Okay, uh, so you could turn the opacity of this layer down, and that changes the opacity for the entire thing. You notice that the entire image faded out. The stroke, the color overlay, drop shadow, all the effects faded out to 0 when I turned the opacity down. So that's the difference between using the opacity slider and the fill slider. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this color overlay off again, and you notice that now the inside of the star is dark blue because we have the fill opacity turned back up. I'm going to go ahead and turn that back down, and I'm going to turn back on this gradient overlay. Now if you want, I'm going to click on this gradient editor, and you can see here this is where all the editing options are. I can continue to add color stops down here below, and if I want, I can change each stop's transparency. You control the color at the bottom of this gradient editor here, but you control the transparency by clicking and adding stops to the opacity here. You notice that when you click on the top for the stops, the opacity slider becomes activated. When you click on the bottom, the opacity slider gets grayed out and the color options become activated. Okay, so I can edit the opacity independently from the colors. See that? Okay, I can also change the style of my gradient. It doesn't have to be linear. I can change it to any one of Photoshop's various gradient modes, and I can change the angle here of my gradients. I can change the scale of my gradients. Another thing that some people don't know is that you can actually click on your image and move your gradient. You can actually move your effects while you have the layer style box open. That includes all effects. So let's just try this with the drop shadow. I'm going to click on the drop shadow option to make it active, and I'm going to click and move that. You see how I can actually move this, and the options will update themselves in the dialog box, so you can interactively move these effects around. Okay, so once again, I just wanted to go over a few more of the options that are available for customizing layer styles, to add gradients and transparency, and how to the difference between turning down the fill opacity and turning down the opacity. When you turn down the opacity, the entire image fades itself out. Layer effects, strokes, styles, gradients, everything. Whereas with the fill opacity, just the fill becomes either transparent or opaque when you turn this down. And you can, if you turn this down, you can then see the different effects that you add independently of the color, regardless of the color of the original shape layer. Okay, so I hope this was helpful. If you have any more questions about how to edit layer styles and layer effects, please let me, just drop me a quick note, and I'll try to update my YouTube channel with some, helpful information for you. Okay, thanks for viewing, and I'll see you next time.